Welcome back to the Chattable podcast, where we learn real English in real life and have fun and be proud.
It's really great to be back.
Yeah, and today we are taking a swing at something that is, frankly, well, it's inescapable if you're trying to survive in an American workplace. Or even just watching Hollywood movies.
Right.
We're talking about baseball.
That's right. And I can already hear a few people groaning right now.
Yeah.
I know. You might be sitting there thinking, I don't play sports. Or I watched a baseball game once, and it was just 4 hours of people standing around chewing gum.
Chewing gum and adjusting their hats. It's not the most adrenaline-pumping sport to watch if you don't know the nuance.
No, it really isn't.
But here is the hook. And this is why we are doing this episode today for you guys. You do not need to care about the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees to need this vocabulary.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I would actually argue that baseball idioms have detached themselves from the sport, from the actual game, more than any other sport out there.
Oh, absolutely.
You hear these phrases everywhere. In boardrooms, in marriage counseling.
Political concession speeches.
Yes, exactly. It's just baked in.
It's the background noise of American English. So our mission today is to take 3 specific high-frequency idioms derived from baseball. And we aren't just going to define them.
Right, because you can just look that up in a dictionary.
Exactly. We are going to look at the mechanics of the game to understand why these phrases exist. And then we'll look at some famous case studies from Peter Jackson to Elon Musk to see how they work out there in the wild.
Because we're looking for that cultural fluency. It's not just about knowing the literal words. It's about knowing the feeling behind those words.
Exactly. So 45 seconds in and bases are loaded. Let's get into it.
Let's play ball.
All right, first up, we're actually starting at the end. We're calling this segment the 9th inning.
A total classic.
It really is. And I want to start with a piece of audio, or rather a quote from our source material that kind of sets the mood here. This is from a creative director working on a documentary. And they said this: "We are in the final hours of finishing this 2-hour documentary film. It's really in the 9th inning after all these years of hard work."
Wow. Yeah, it's a very evocative sentence.
It is. But before we get into the emotion of it, we kind of have to talk about the number 9. Because for anyone who grew up watching football or soccer, as the Americans call it, or basketball, the structure of baseball is weird.
It's incredibly weird. And I think that this is the most important thing to understand if you want to use this idiom right. Most sports out there are governed by a clock.
Right. Like soccer is 90 minutes. Basketball is 4 quarters.
Yeah. And when that clock hits 0, the game ends. And you can't stop it.
Right. It doesn't matter what's happening on the field.
Exactly. If you're losing a basketball and the clock runs out, you lose.
Yeah.
The game doesn't care if you were just about to score a point.
It's just over.
It's over. But baseball has no clock.
Wait, really? I mean, I know games take a very long time, but there is physically no timer running.
No timer at all. The game is governed purely by events.
Mm-hmm.
And those events are called innings.
Okay.
There are 9 innings in a standard game. And each team gets a turn to bat in each inning. So the game literally cannot end until the losing team has had their final out in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Wow, so that's a profound difference right there.
It completely changes everything.
Because theoretically, a baseball game could just go on forever if the losing team just keeps hitting the ball.
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
They just keep running around the bases. And that changes the psychology of the 9th inning completely.
How so?
Well, when you say you are in the 9th inning, you aren't just saying time is almost up because time isn't a factor. You are saying we have to execute these final steps to make it end.
Oh, I see. So going back to that creative director finishing the documentary.
Yeah.
When they say we are in the 9th inning, they aren't saying it's 5 p.m. and then we're going home.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
They are saying we cannot go home until we get these final 3 outs, until we finish this specific work. It implies a finish line that must be earned, not just awaited.
That's a great way to put it. You have to earn the ending. Let's dig into the emotional weight of this.
Yeah.
Because you could just tell your team we're almost done. Or we're in the final phase.
Sure.
So why reach for the baseball metaphor? What does 9th inning add to that conversation that almost done doesn't?
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion.
That is the hidden ingredient here. Because a baseball game is an absolute grind. It's 3, sometimes 4 hours long.
Right.
It's hot. They play in the middle of summer.
Right.
By the time you reach the 9th inning, the players are physically drained. Their jerseys are covered in dirt. The fans have been sitting in the sun all day.
So it's not just about proximity to the end. It's about the fatigue of the whole journey.
Precisely. It signals to your listener, hey, I know we've been doing this for a really long time. I know we are exhausted. But look, the end is right there in front of us.
It's almost like a rallying cry.
It is. It's this unique mix of high stress and high hope.
To really visualize this, I want to look at the case study from our notes involving Peter Jackson, because I think this captures the ninth inning energy perfectly.
Oh, this story is legendary in the film industry.
So for the listeners, cast your mind back to the early 2000s. Peter Jackson is directing The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And this isn't just a regular movie, it's a monster. A massive trilogy filmed back-to-back all at once.
The scale of this project is just hard to overstate. We're talking about years of filming, thousands of crew members, and now at this point in the story, they're in post-production for the final film, The Return of the King.
And the Oscars are looming.
Yeah.
The global premiere is locked in. That date cannot move.
Right. And this is exactly where the ninth inning pressure comes in.
Picture the scene. It's 2 a.m. in a dark editing suite in New Zealand.
Yeah,
The room probably smells like stale pizza and way too much coffee.
definitely.
The editors have bloodshot eyes. They've been staring at computer screens for 18 hours a day for months on end.
They are at that breaking point. You know, that
Yeah.
feeling where you just want to say, is it good enough? Can we just render this and stop?
Exactly. And that is a dangerous moment. That's where mistakes happen. That's where you get lazy with the details. And Peter Jackson walks into the room.
The director.
Right. And he sees his team is fading. But he doesn't yell at them. He doesn't say work faster or you're all fired.
What does he say?
He uses the idiom. He says, keep pushing everyone. I know we're tired, but we are finally in the ninth inning of this trilogy.
See, that is brilliant leadership communication right there.
Why does that work better than hurry up?
Because it validates their pain. By calling it the ninth inning, he is actively acknowledging, yes, we have played innings 1 through 8. I know you've been working for 3 years.
He's honoring the work already done.
Exactly. But he's also promising them that the game will end.
Right. The ninth inning implies the game is not infinite.
There are only 3 outs left. If we focus, we can go home. It gives them a visible, tangible finish line.
But there's a flip side to the ninth inning, isn't there? In actual baseball, the ninth inning is often where everything goes horribly wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And this brings us to the closer mentality.
Explain that.
So in baseball, you have a specific pitcher called the closer. And this guy only comes into the game for the ninth inning.
Just one inning.
Just the last one. Why? Because the pressure is suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a regular pitcher and you mess up in the second inning, well, you have 7 more innings for your team to score some runs and fix it.
You have a buffer?
A huge buffer. But if you mess up in the ninth inning,
You lose.
game over. There is 0 recovery time. You make a mistake, you pack your bags.
So when you use this phrase in a business context, say during a big corporate merger negotiation, you're also signaling danger.
Yes. If a CEO says, look, we're in the ninth inning of this deal, they're saying, stay sharp. Don't drop the ball right now. Because a mistake now kills everything we've worked for over the last 6 months.
That really distinguishes it from something like the 11th hour, doesn't it? Because we hear at the 11th hour a lot in English.
That's a really great distinction, actually. The 11th hour usually implies panic.
Right, like, oh no, we forgot to do this.
Exactly. It implies you haven't done the work and you are rushing to fix a problem right before the deadline hits. It's chaotic.
Whereas the ninth inning
is structured. It says we have done the work, we played the first 8 innings, we followed the plan, now we just need to execute the close. It's about endurance, not panic.
So for you, the listener, who wants to drop this into a conversation next week at work or at home, let's give them the perfect scenario.
Okay, imagine you are moving houses.
Oh, the worst experience known to man.
It really is terrible. You've been packing for 3 solid days, your back hurts, you're covered in dust, you have packed the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room.
I'm getting stressed just thinking about it.
And now you are standing in the garage looking at that final pile of random junk.
Right. The old cables, the broken toys, half-empty paint cans.
The stuff you just want to throw straight into a dumpster.
Exactly.
And your partner looks at you and says, I can't do this anymore. Let's just leave it all here for the new owners.
That is the moment.
That's the moment. You put a hand on their shoulder.
And you say, babe, look at all the boxes we've already done. We are in the ninth inning. Let's just finish this last corner and order a massive pizza.
I like that a lot. It's empathetic.
Oh.
It says, I see your pain, but let's finish the job.
It's interesting how metaphors like this actually shape our behavior. If you frame a situation as a never-ending slog, people just give up. But if you frame it as the ninth inning, you unlock that last little reserve of energy.
It's cognitive reframing. You're changing the narrative in their head from suffering to finishing.
And speaking of suffering, suffering in baseball isn't just about the sheer length of the game. It's about the difficulty of the task itself.
That is the perfect pivot to our next idiom.
Which brings us to our second segment. We are zooming in from the scoreboard the whole game down to the individual player. We're talking about at-bats.
We're at-bat singular.
Let's start with our source quote again to ground this one, because this one is a bit heavier. The person wrote, "I've tried and failed so many times on this test, but this is my last at-bat probably, given the age limit."
You can really hear the finality in that sentence. My last at-bat.
You really can. But before we unpack what that student is feeling, let's look at the physics of this situation again.
Yeah, let's look at the field.
Because in soccer or basketball, the team moves as a unit. You pass the ball back and forth, you share the physical load.
Right. If you make a mistake in soccer, usually a teammate is right there behind you to cover your mistake. The spotlight is diffused across 11 players.
But in baseball
is terrifying because it is a series of completely individual duels.
Duels like a sword fight.
Exactly like a duel. Because when you are at bat, you are the only person on your entire team doing anything. Everyone else is just sitting in the dugout watching you.
Wow, no pressure.
Right. You step up to home plate, you're holding a wooden stick.
Yeah.
And 60 feet away, a man is trying to throw a rock-hard sphere past you at 95 miles per hour.
The loneliness of that specific moment is what we really need to capture here. All eyes in the stadium are on you.
And here is the kicker. And I think this is the most critical cultural insight for our listeners to grasp. In baseball, the expectation is that you will fail.
Okay, you have to explain that. Because in most exams or most corporate jobs, if you fail 50% of the time, you get fired. Immediately.
Right. I mean, if a surgeon dropped their scalpel 50% of the time, they'd lose their medical license and go to jail.
But in baseball,
let's look at the Hall of Fame. These are the absolute gods of the sport, the best to ever pick up a bat. Do you know what their average success rate is?
I'm guessing it's pretty high, right? Like 80%?
It's about 30%.
Wait, 30?
30. That means the greatest players in the history of the sport fail 70% of the time. If you get a hit 3 times out of 10, you are considered a legend.
That is wild to think about. So failure isn't just common, it's actually the default state of the game.
Exactly. And that right there is why the idiom at bat is so powerful in American English. It completely shifts the focus away from winning and puts it on attempting.
Because you can't get that 30% success rate if you don't take the 100% of attempts.
Conversely, it is a volume game. You need at-bats. You need chances.
So when someone uses this phrase in business or in creative work, they're acknowledging that the outcome is totally uncertain, but the attempt itself has value.
Yes. It's about securing the opportunity to take a swing.
Let's look at the J.K. Rowling story from our notes, because this is the ultimate at-bat story.
It really is. I mean, it's become folklore at this point, but we have to really pause and imagine the gritty reality of it.
So take us back to the early 90s. J.K. Rowling is obviously not a billionaire yet. She is a struggling single mother living in Edinburgh.
She has no money. She has 0 connections in the publishing world. But she has this thick manuscript for Harry Potter.
She pours her absolute heart into it, and she puts it in a manila envelope. Now imagine walking to the post office in the rain, that walk that is stepping up to the plate.
That is the at-bat. She pays for the postage, she mails it to a publisher, and she waits.
And then weeks later, the letter comes back, "No, thank you."
Strike one. Swing and a miss.
Now, I think most regular people stop right there. The rejection hurts. It feels incredibly personal. It feels like the universe is saying to you, you aren't a writer, give up.
But the baseball mindset says, hold on, that was just one at-bat. Even the best players strike out. I need another at-bat. So what does she do?
She gets another envelope. She prints out another massive copy of the book. She buys more stamps, which costs money she didn't really have to spare.
That right there is the second at-bat.
And it comes back. Rejected again. Strike 2.
And this cycle happens, what, 12 times?
12 times. 12 different professional publishers looked at Harry Potter and said, no thanks, not for us.
Imagine the mental resilience required for that 13th time. Just the act of opening that 13th blank envelope.
That's the internal monologue we really need to hear right now. She's sitting at her table, probably thinking, I really hope I get a hit with this next at-bat. She's tired. Her confidence has to be low. But she steps up to the plate one more time anyway.
She sends it to Bloomsbury Publishing.
And crack! Home run! The ball sails out of the park. Publishing history is made forever.
But here's the critical lesson for us. That home run does not happen without the previous 12 failures.
Right.
They aren't separate events. They're all part of the same game.
Right. You can't just skip ahead to the winning hit.
You have to endure the empty at-bats.
This is such a huge concept in American sales culture, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, it is the absolute religion of sales.
Talk to us about that. How does a sales manager actually use this idiom on the floor?
Well, if you work in sales, you hear the word no all day long. It's depressing. It drains your soul. If you focus on the no, you will quit by Tuesday. So good managers train you to focus on the at-bats instead.
So they don't look at you and ask, how much money did you make today?
No, they ask, how many at-bats did you get today? Meaning, how many cold calls did you make? How many presentations did you sit through?
And you say, well, I called 50 people and they all hung up on me.
And the manager says, great job, you had 50 at-bats. Because the math of sales says if you have enough at-bats, the law of averages will eventually guarantee you a hit.
It takes all the emotional pressure off the final result and puts the value squarely on the effort.
Exactly. It turns a painful rejection into just a neutral data point. You hang up the phone and say, okay, that was an at-bat. Next.
I feel like this is incredibly relevant for our listeners who are actively learning English.
I was just thinking that same thing.
Because every single time you open your mouth to speak English to a native speaker, you are stepping up to the plate.
And you are absolutely going to strike out sometimes.
Yeah.
You're going to use the wrong verb tense. You're going to pronounce a word like schedule really weirdly. You might even accidentally insult someone's grandmother because you use the wrong idiom.
Yeah, it definitely happens.
But if you train yourself to view that awkward conversation as just another at-bat, it's totally okay. You just say to yourself, well, I swung and I missed. Let me try again tomorrow.
Because the only way to guarantee failure is to stop stepping up to the plate, to stop taking at bats altogether.
Exactly. You can't hit the ball if you don't swing the bat.
I really love that reframing. So the ninth inning is about endurance. At-bats is about resilience and sheer volume. But baseball is also a game of deception.
Oh, it definitely is. It's not just a game of brute force.
Sometimes you step up to that plate, you're ready for the fastball, you think you know exactly what is coming.
And the pitcher completely tricks you.
Which perfectly leads us to our third and final segment today.
The curveball.
Or, as it is most commonly used in conversation life, threw me a curveball.
Let's look at the source text for this one. We have a teacher or maybe a student complaining about a difficult test.
Right. It says, this math question is so tricky and 80% of my students got it wrong. It's one of those classic curveball questions in SAT tests.
And just a quick correction for the record here. Our source text actually had a slight typo saying match question, but the context clearly implies math.
Right. Good catch. So we are talking about a trick question, but I think we need to get a little technical here because a curveball isn't just a synonym for something difficult. It's a very specific kind of difficult.
It is very specific. And once again, this goes back to the physics of the pitch itself.
Okay, Professor, explain the science to us. Why is a curveball so uniquely hard to hit?
So imagine the pitcher on the mound. He winds up. He throws his arm forward toward you as hard as he can. Now your eye, the batter's eye, instantly calculates the speed of his arm and predicts the straight path of that ball.
Your brain just does the math and says, okay, arm moving fast equals ball going straight and fast.
Exactly. That is a fastball. It's honest. It goes right where it looks like it's going. But with a curveball, the pitcher violently snaps his wrist right at the point of release. He puts a massive forward spin on the baseball.
Sort of like hitting top spin with a tennis racket.
Exactly like that. And due to air pressure, specifically something called the Magnus effect, if you want to get fancy with the physics, that heavy spin forces the ball to drop out of the air.
So to the batter, it looks exactly like a straight fastball coming right at your chest.
And then about 10 feet in front of you, the bottom just drops out and dives violently toward the dirt.
So you swing your bat right where the ball is supposed to be and you just look like an idiot.
You swing it completely empty air, the ball curved.
So the core meaning of this idiom isn't just a difficult challenge, it's a deceptive challenge. It's a surprise that breaks your prediction model.
Yes, it is precisely when reality sharply deviates from your expectation.
We have the perfect, painful example of this in our notes. I almost feel a little bad discussing it, but it's just too good to ignore.
The Cybertruck.
Elon Musk, Tesla, 2019, the stage is set.
This presentation was supposed to be a total victory lap for Tesla. The Cybertruck was marketed as this indestructible, futuristic beast. literally an armored personnel carrier for the suburbs.
So Musk is standing on stage, he's hiking up the crowd, and he wants to visually prove that the glass on the windows is armored glass. So he calls out Franz von Holzhausen, the lead designer of the truck.
Right. And Franz walks out holding a heavy, solid metal ball, a steel sphere.
Now, in Elon's mind and his mental prediction model, this is a straight, fast ball. Franz is going to throw the ball. It's going to bounce harmlessly off the super strong glass. The audience is going to cheer, and the stock price is going to go up.
That was definitely the plan on paper.
But the universe had a completely different pitch in mind.
Franz winds up. He throws the heavy steel ball right at the window. And smash.
It literally sounded like a gunshot on the live feed.
It did. The glass didn't just crack a little bit, it completely shattered. The whole window spiderwebbed instantly.
And the utter silence in that room.
And Elon's face. We have to talk about his face.
It was pure cognitive dissonance. He was staring at something that his brain told him was physically impossible.
That is the moment. That exact feeling is the definition of a curveball.
You could say that shattered window really threw Elon Musk a curveball during his presentation.
The whole situation took a sudden, unexpected dive right in front of him.
But the idiom usually implies a second part, doesn't it? It's not just that the curveball happened to you. It's about what you do in the next 5 seconds.
Right, because you can't just stand in the batter's box and cry about it. In actual baseball, if you see a curveball dropping, you have to adjust your swing instantly.
Did Musk adjust his swing?
He did, actually.
Yeah.
He kind of laughed nervously. I think he said something on the microphone like, well, maybe that was a little too hard. And then, and this is the really key part, he finished the entire 45-minute presentation standing right in front of the broken truck.
He didn't walk off the stage in embarrassment?
He stayed in the batter's box. He adapted to the new reality.
So when we ask someone, how do you handle curveballs? We are really asking them a deeper question. We're asking, how good are you at improvising when your perfect plan explodes?
Exactly. It's a measure of your adaptability under pressure.
Let's give our listeners some real-world, non-billionaire scenarios. When can they use this phrase in daily life?
Oh, the modern workplace is full of them. Let's say you spend all week working on a detailed financial report for a specific client.
You polish the formatting. It's absolutely perfect.
And then on Monday morning, your boss walks into your cubicle and says, hey, great news. We just lost that client over the weekend, but I need this exact report adapted for a completely different industry by noon today.
Oh, man. Ouch.
You would turn to your coworker and say, wow, the boss really threw us a curveball there.
Or what about in personal life outside the office?
Weather is the classic example here. Say you are planning an outdoor wedding. You check the forecast for 6 months straight. It always says sunny and clear.
You rent the expensive outdoor tent. You buy the sunscreen for the guests.
And then 10 minutes before the bride walks down the aisle, a freak thunderstorm rolls in out of nowhere.
Mother Nature threw us a massive curveball.
Exactly. It implies that the change was sudden and a bit unfair. You did your prep, you did your homework, but the external conditions changed without warning.
And it really is a versatile phrase. And it perfectly captures that helpless feeling of being tricked by fate.
It does. And it reminds us that we can't control everything in life. The pitcher, whether that pitcher is your boss, the global economy, or just the weather, the pitcher has a say in the game too.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've got the painful grind of the 9th inning, the stubborn resilience of at-bats, and the rapid adaptability of the curveball.
Basically a complete philosophical toolkit for modern life, really.
It is amazing how much deep philosophy is packed into a game that mostly involves a wooden stick and a leather ball.
Well, baseball is famously called America's pastime. But I think it sticks around because it acts as a mirror for the broader culture. It's a game about individual responsibility. It's about dealing with a massive amount of failure, and it's about grinding it out until the very, very end.
It's definitely not a sport of instant gratification.
No, it is a sport of extreme patience.
Let's do a quick recap for our listeners before we wrap up this episode. We successfully covered 3 bases today.
Was that pun intended?
Always intended. First up, we looked at the 9th inning.
Right at the end of the road, the final exhausting push. Remember, it's not just about time running out. It's about the no-clock pressure of the game.
Yeah.
You have to execute to earn the ending. Think of Peter Jackson at 2 a.m. rallying his tired editors to finish the movie.
Second, we covered at-bats.
The sheer opportunities to try. The statistical reality that you actually need to fail multiple times to eventually succeed. Think of J.K. Rowling and her tall stack of publisher rejection letters. Every single letter was just a completed at-bat.
And finally, we looked at the curveball.
The surprise difficulty, the sudden deception, the exact moment your perfect plan meets reality's twisted sense of humor. Think of Elon Musk standing next to the shattered Cybertruck window and trying to keep the presentation going.
You know, when you look at these three idioms together, they actually form a pretty cohesive narrative, don't they?
They really do. They tell the story of a major project, or even just a life. You start your journey by taking at bats. You inevitably face curveballs along the way that mess up your plans. And if you somehow keep going, you eventually reach the ninth inning, where you have to dig incredibly deep just across the finish line.
It's the classic hero's journey just told in baseball style.
It is. And the underlying theme binding all of them together is resilience. The ninth inning acknowledges that you are physically tired. At-bats acknowledges that you are probably going to fail. Curveball acknowledges that external things will go wrong.
But in all three of them, the baseline assumption is that you stay on the field.
Yes. You keep playing. You don't walk away and quit. That is the true spirit of the language.
So here is our final thought, our question for you, the listener, today. We really want you to reflect on your own English learning journey right now.
Yeah, this is a really good one to mull over on your own.
Which inning are you in right now?
Are you just stepping up to the plate for your very first at-bat? Are you just starting to learn, taking those awkward first swings, maybe missing the ball a few times in conversation?
Or have you been studying for years? Are you currently grinding through the ninth inning? Are you tired? Are you completely sick of memorizing flashcards, but you can see actual fluency right there on the horizon?
Or maybe life has thrown you a massive curveball recently. Maybe you unexpectedly moved to a new country, or you got a sudden new job that requires high-level English and your pressure is spiked overnight.
Wherever you happen to be in the game, the most important thing is that you do not walk off the field.
Just keep swinging. The hits will eventually come.
That is all for today's episode of Chattable. We really hope these idioms help you hit a home run in your very next English conversation.
Keep practicing, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.